again and welcome to another edition of Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with a particular focus as always on the exhibition style budgerigar, who are all being very quiet in here at the moment today. Normally the moment I start recording they all start chirping away, but not today. They all seem to be having a little snooze, so I don't know, maybe it's that time of day. Anyway, what have we got in store for you in this particular episode? What I thought I would do here, the first thing, the main bit is going to be outside with the Fifes. I will get the other cages or the additional cages that I'm using down and give them a clean, and out there we will begin to separate the Fifes into individual cages as best I can. So that's out in the Finch and Fife flight. In here, what I thought I would do is just talk a little bit about what I feed my birds. I haven't done it for a little while. It's probably about 2 years ago was the last time I did a video on feeding, and in this episode what I thought I would do is focus mainly on the hard food that I feed them, how and when and all that. We've all got our different means of feeding, so as I always say, this is just how I feed my birds in my shed, and it seems to work for me. So that's going to be the main focus of this this episode. As always, if you do enjoy the videos, don't forget to hit the like button. Do of course comment. I do enjoy reading the comments from a lot of our regular viewers and those people that regularly comment. It's much appreciated. I do enjoy reading them and finding out what you enjoy, and if there's anything you want to see in particular, don't forget to leave that in the comments as well. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, or if you're not a subscriber to the channel, then please do subscribe, and don't forget, if you want early notifications, then click on the bell icon and they will come through. So let's talk a little bit about the feeding that I do in this shed. So when it comes to feeding across the whole, in fact both sheds, it's predominantly a seed-based diet. All of the birds that I've got are hard bills, so I've got no soft bills, so I don't have to worry about that. So predominantly a seed-based diet. I'll talk about the what I feed for the budgerigars. Just in general, so in both all of the flights, I suppose we'll say, so the main flight, the nappy flight and any of the stock cages. I get all of my seed from Fifes. They're a seed manufacturer over here in the UK, so it's a seed processor, should I say. And I buy it ready mixed. I use Fifes just because I always have done. It's a reasonable price. Some might be a little bit more expensive than some others, and it's a nice clean, but it is a nice clean seed, and I've never had any problems around them delivering it, so that's why I've used them. So the main mix in all of the flights, so the bulk, the main feed seed is a budgerigar breeders seed. You can see it here. It's a nice seed mix. Like I say, I do buy the seed ready mixed. I know some people will buy the separate seeds and then mix it themselves, which does work out cheaper. Certainly over in the UK it works out cheaper because we don't pay VAT on plain seeds, whereas you do on a mixed seed. But for me, just for convenience, I buy a pre-mixed bag. I expect most breeders do, in all honesty, but so like I say, I buy the vast majority of it is a budgie breeders mix, and that goes into a small flat tray in the two main flights, so both in the main flight and in the nappy flight. So it's served there, and at the end of each, or at the beginning of each day, that comes out. I get rid of the husk, goes back into the main container and then gets reused. So I suppose if they are picking out the bits that they like, come the end of the month or the end of the batch, there's only the stuff they don't like left in there, and they tend to eat it. I've never had a problem with them eating it. Anyway, so that's the main seed that I use. Along with that, I also provide them with a tonic seed. Now I provide the tonic seed throughout the year and not just when they're breeding. So the tonic seed will go into both the main flight, the nappy flight and the stock cages, but also when I'm breeding I also provide it when I'm breeding, but I don't, it's not one of those ones that I stop feeding at any stage of the year. It's fed throughout, and you can see the tonic seed here. It just gives them that extra boost. I don't provide masses of it. There's a small dish in both of the main flights, and they get a small amount in the stock cages and in any of the breeding cages when I am breeding. So that's just a tonic mix, so it just provides them with some extra vitamins and extra fat and stuff like that. The other thing that I provide mainly in the main flight is just a straight seed, and that's a red millet. And if you want to know why I do that, it's because I've always done it. So always in the main flight I provided a little separate dish of red millet. Some of them will take it, or straight away. Others don't seem to bother too much. But it's only a small amount goes in there, and it's only in the main flight that I provide it. I don't give it in any of the others. And it's just something I've always done. We are creatures of habit, aren't we? So that is what the three main seeds then that they get. They get a main budgerigars mix, which is the main bulk of it. They then get a small dish of tonic, and then occasionally, well, in the main flight, they will also get a small dish of red millet. So those are the main three seeds that I provide. Alongside that, in the nappy flight, and particularly when they're younger, I provide millet sprays every day. At the moment they're virtually weaned off of those, so they're not getting them every day anymore. And I will also provide, probably about once a week, millet sprays in the main flight. And I tend to hang those from the little swing thing that I've got in there. It's actually an old sock dryer, I suppose, that you hang on the washing line with socks and stuff in it. So I'll put millet in those, and it means they have to, get on there, and they have to try and access it with a bit more difficulty. They do like the millet sprays, so they do try to do that, and it just gives them a little bit of exercise, a little bit of interest, I suppose, while they're feeding. So those are the main. That's the main seed that I give all of the birds in all of the cages. In all of the flights as well, they get a dish of grit and charcoal mixed together. So grit and charcoal mix. I find the hens will pick through it mostly, but occasionally the hens will do it. I do know there's some discussion about whether we should provide grit. I've always done it. It's something I've done for, as long as I've been keeping budgerigars, so over 10 years now, probably longer, much longer than that probably even. I've provided grit, and I've never had a problem with birds becoming ill because of it. So that's also in all of the main flights, and also they get it in the breeding cages as well. I might have shown you that more recently. So that's what goes in all of the cages. The other thing that I provide in all of the flights is a small dish of soft food. Now the soft food goes always into the nappy flight. So when I've got young birds in that flight, there will always be a dish of soft food. I give it in both the stock cages for the birds that are going to be shown, because it builds up a little bit of bulk on them, I think. And in the main flight, they will get a small dish probably once, twice a week. The other thing that happens in the main flight is I give them probably again once or twice a week, some fresh vegetables, and basically it's whatever left over after my wife has finished making the Sunday roast or anything else. So it's just bits of cabbage. So quite often there'll be cauliflower, carrot tips and that sort of stuff, anything, Brussels, and occasionally beans. I just chuck them in there. They remain in there for probably about a day, no longer than that. If it's the core bit of cabbage, I'll probably give it a couple of days in there because it lasts a bit longer, and then I remove it. So it's something actually that Never East, or the Never East partnership do. They he just spoke about it once and said that that's what he does. He just chucks it in the main flight. I've started doing it. They do enjoy it. They eat it. Never had it, or some of them eat it. Never had any problem again with them becoming poorly because of it. So I will just continue doing it. They pick through it, some more than others, and I think quite often it depends on how they're feeling as to whether they eat that. Again, I think it just gives them a few extra vitamins and stuff. So that's feeding of the main flights in here. I have done a video on the soft food. If you want me to do another one, let me know in the comments and I'll let you know what goes into the soft food. But I think I've done 2 of those, so they're on the YouTube page somewhere. But if you want, like I say, if you want me to do another video on the soft food, I'm more than happy to do that. So that's feeding the budgerigars. Well, I've got the 2 additional cages for the Fifes to go into. I say 2, they split into 2, so it's 4 cages in total for the extra for the Fife to go into. They come in a number of parts, so there's some side bits. The main bulky bit, and of course the tray. So but I haven't used these for a little while, and I'm going to have to spend the next sort of 10-15 minutes trying to work out how to go together. But I will attempt to do that now. Once I've done that, I'll meet you out in the Finch and Fife flight, where we'll be able to, we'll have set these up, and hopefully we can then have redistributed the young Fifes into the cages, separated most of them out. I'm hoping I've got enough now to cover all the young birds. So, well, I'll get on with that. Meet you outside in Fife from breeding to bench. I did finally get the cages reassembled. It did take me a little while actually. It was a bit of a struggle to work out. Once I'd done one and worked out how the sides in particularly went on, then the others became a bit easier, but the first one I just couldn't for ages. It just didn't seem right. Eventually I've fathomed it out, and I managed to do all of them. The only problem I've got at the moment is I have mislaid 2 of the separators. So I've separated the birds now off into the cages that they ought to be in. The cockbird, the older cockbird, so the father of all of them, has gone back into the main flight. I think I said I was going to do that. Seems quite happy in there at the moment. And then the others are either in individual cages or they are 2 to a cage until I can find the separators. I'm beginning to identify which of the youngsters are cockbirds. There's one in the cage nearest the door, the one that's got hardly any feathers on the top of its head. I won't do the joke again. And here's, so he's chirping away, so I'm guessing that is a cockbird. And then there's one in the variegated in the middle cage of 3 that are behind me, that I also have heard chirping, and I think that is a cockbird as well, but I just need to double check. Yeah, the boldy variegated one in there is definitely a cockbird, and I'm reasonably certain the variegated behind me is a cockbird. So that's where we are so far. I'll let them settle in a little bit now into their cages. I have, just so you know, the lighting in here has now been turned off altogether, so there's only the natural daylight coming in. This is to try and help them through the molt. I understand if it's a bit darker, that's what I've heard anyway. Let me know if you're a canary breeder, but if it's a bit darker in the flight, then they'll come through the molt a bit more quickly. The cockbird, the old cockbird, is definitely fully in the molt, and I think most of the others are as well. Before I leave here, a quick update on the zebras. I haven't seen, or there's still no sign of any eggs, but one of the hens has started using one of the other nest boxes now, so I don't know whether she decided that one wasn't any good and she's gone for another one. We'll wait and see. Like I said, I'm going to give them at least another week now. I said 2 weeks the last video, so at least another week. If she's really built in there, I might give her a little bit longer, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm reasonably happy out here now. I've just about made enough room for all of the cages, as you can probably see. Not a lot of room in here, but as I said before, once I've reduced the size of this main flight, hopefully at that point we'll have a bit more room, and I can ready for next year's breeding of the Fifes. Sorry, I had a bit of a stop. I was watching one of the birds that was chat calling. So anyway, so that's it. Like I say, that's it from in here. Well, that does just about bring us to the end of another episode. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, if you want another video of the soft food, then please just leave a comment, or leave a comment on anything else you might want to see. I will do my best to show how I do it in my shed. Please do hit the like button, but until the next episode, most importantly, stay safe, enjoy your birds.